last week, but I'm just learning to be a lot more patient and I guess less comparative to my former strength-focused self. You know, I've only got 125 kilos on there. You know, I've high barred 190 kilos in bare knees before, so you know, it's super sub-maximal. We're well off the best this body has put out, but at the same time, I'm just not covering the same amount of distance per week. You know, I was covering 0 at that stage. Yeah, I squatted that in here actually, and you know, I was doing a lot of mobility, flexibility, calisthenics, and I'm proud to say, fairly deep into a weight cut. I was lighter than I am now. But at the same time, yeah, it's just different stages, different goals, and you just have to accept that physiology, adaptation, it is just affected by time and the inputs that you give it. So yeah, it's cool that mechanically everything is actually feeling a lot more stable, not just grinding reps out for the sake of grinding things out. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Again, it's all just stages and what you're working on. But just getting a lot more, I guess, comfortable up here, not judging myself as harshly, and still love it just as much. Like, I love the fact that I'm not spending any time on my feet running today, and I just get to pour all my focus into this. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you don't fully adopt the old strength focus mentality of trying to bury yourself in the gym either. So there is that toing and froing where this isn't the main piece anymore. You know, I'm a lot more focused on improving my running performance still. So yeah, this becomes complementary, much like it would in any sort of athlete population. So the sport is the focus, and resistance training is there to complement those attributes that you're looking to excel in. So yeah, it's a different stage, but at the same time, I'm loving the fact that I'm giving myself the space to still enjoy it despite not having the same weight on the bar. Because it's very easy to get caught up on that and be like, what's the point of doing this shit, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, then there'll be some people watching this that probably wish they could squat this and still run, you know, and yeah, so it just depends what side of the coin, I guess, you're coming from. You know, there'll be guys that are weightlifting focus, that are coming into the running world, like myself, that are comparing themselves to, you know, the weekly mileage, speeds, zone 2 pace that, you know, these runners are churning out, and comparing themselves in the other light. So it's just different strokes, different folks. Learn to love the process. Let's get these intervals, thing I've found with the introduction of the treadmill, so we've got this new Nordic track, I think it's the X16 or something like that. It's a nice big monitor here, but it's just my turnover. Obviously it reduces the impact a little bit, but I've even noticed, yeah, just when I do get out for my road runs or my trail runs, just that turnover that I have in my natural gait now has definitely gone up a notch. It is the downside of trail running with the varied intensities of, you know, power hiking and descents and all that. Your gait on flats is constantly changing, so it doesn't always produce the most efficient environment to improve running economy, and this is definitely doing that. Yeah, so I'm feeling a lot lighter, faster, smoother on my easy runs. So yeah, 5 by 4 minutes today at about, well, on here it's got a 4-minute 8-second K, but it's probably a little bit slower than that, to be honest. So I don't really like to go off pace too much. It's more about effort. So if these start to feel good, by like the 3rd or 4th rep, I'll probably continue to increase the speed rather than try and get out too hot and turn it into a VO2 session. So yeah, I'll shut up now and get to work. Looking good, halfway through the 4th interval. Everything's feeling pretty comfy. Starting to hurt a little bit, obviously. Squatted yesterday, so I like sort of hitting this fast stuff under the tiniest bit of fatigue. Sort of just helps you check in with the body, I find. But also, I don't want to go redlining either, like I said from the start of this session. The fact that I'm running this fast, comparative to what I normally do on the trails anyway, it's going to provide a positive stimulus. So it's not about trying to get a 10 out of 10 score every time as far as output goes. You don't want to waste your time and go too slow. You know, I'm short of breath. I can't form full sentences. So that sort of tells me that I'm on the money. Pretty well stopped using heart rate on the watch. I just don't think they're reliable enough, to be honest. So I don't stress too much about it. Go with more off feel now. Been running long enough, and you'll get there too. Want to go. One added bonus of the treadie too is being able to keep all your fuel and hydration. You don't need to carry so much shit, which means you can sort of just go into operator mode a bit more. And I find it even helps me dial in that running form that little bit more as well. Might tickle this pace up just a little bit to finish, eh? Rage Against the Machine has been initiated in the headphones. That's when you know you start to get a bit serious. That's it. So yeah, that's the bulk of the workout done now. Cruise this right back. Try and sit at a comfy pace. What I usually do around zone 2, probably a little bit slower to start with, to be honest. Let everything chill right out. And yeah, rest, recover. Got the kids today, so don't have to worry too much about work, which is great. And I'll have a double day tomorrow. So cruisy run in the morning, followed by an upper body session. See you then. One thing I've been really enjoying about the new treadmill is just being able to pass a little bit of time watching a bit of content. I know it's always nice, and I do tend to prefer to get out and run on the roads. I've only been using the treadmill for my faster sessions, so I'm just warming up for my tempo run today. So I'll put together just a 30-minute unbroken block, whereas last couple of weeks I've just been doing some 8-minute intervals with like a little 90-second float. So we'll put that together and see how the body holds up, just sustaining that one pace. Again, I think a lot of people get tempo wrong. It's just meant to be an elevated base pace. So you're still going to be able to talk throughout it. You know, your sentences might shorten a wee bit, but yeah, you're not going to be left breathless. If you're left breathless by the end of a tempo run, it's not a tempo run. The pacing on this, I just go off feel. It's never going to be completely accurate. The watch is always saying different things as well. But I'll get this around like a 4-minute 30 pace. It might be a little bit slower than that in real life. but I just find that the turnover on the treadmill is a bit awesome as well. So I'll finish this off and we'll get cracking.
There's a lot of guys saying how here we go again, because we had lost too many games that way in the last 2 years, and so it's definitely a battle to keep guys up and say, okay, here we go, just execute each plays that come in, and let's see what happens.
2:33 to go in the fourth. Auburn down by 3. First down, take the ball.
Coming towards the end of the tempo run now, so we've got about 2.5 minutes left. But I wanted to steer away from running and talk about this content that I'm watching. The SEC football documentary or docu-series on Netflix. Even if you're not an American football fan or a college football fan, I don't think there's a sport in the world that does story better than American football. Like, my wife doesn't know a thing about American football, but she'll sit and she'll watch these stories. The way that they can just piece together a storyline, it's amazing. They make something so simple just expand and blow up, and you just want to rally around these characters that they build story around. You know, it goes from hard-style stories of, you know, down and out teams that are on the come up, teams that are under pressure, champion teams that are failing. They cover it all. They just do it in such an engaging way. If you haven't watched it, it is must watch. Along with any American football content, to be honest, like all the HBO Hard Knocks series where they follow the preseason camps of NFL teams from year to year. They're all great. So yeah, if you're looking for something to pass the time, if you have the luxury of some TV on the treadmill, get it on. Yeah, that was perfect. Felt the pace was, well, the effort was bang on. As you can see, that last couple of minutes I was still able to talk to camera to you guys. And we'll just slow things down now for 20 minutes. That just expands some time on feet. Allows me to get used to running fast, but then lowering my heart rate while moving. I think it's probably the most difficult piece for people who probably come from a lifting background more than a running background, is that movement. Generally, you're going to be carrying more muscle tissue, so trying to get your ducks in a row and get yourself calm, because you're naturally going to be a lot more inefficient, because we're going to be carrying a lot more tissue in our upper body compared to someone who's just run their whole life and hasn't been exposed to resistance training. So if you fall into that camp and you're watching this, it's another reason why I would ignore heart rate zones. I'm really interested to see where the data goes in the future as we study different populations, and it'll be a really cool study to see if we actually got participants who designated themselves as a population of lifters, and they take on, say, like a 10K program, versus someone who's completely new to resistance training, has never resistance trained before, and just see what training zones look like at different paces. I think, at least from experience and those that I have coached, so this is just anecdotal evidence, those that are generally higher in muscle mass are going to have higher heart rates when they're working at the same RPE, so rate of perceived exertion. So I'm not too stressed about what my heart rate is sitting at that pace, to a certain degree.
gets more and more refined, but to not overcomplicate things. I just find that you need to focus more on time and effort rather than heart rate and kilometers or mileage. The danger of sticking to a certain distance is if you're under-recovered, especially when you're finding this balance with performing in the gym and running. If you're not up to the standard that's required for that distance that has been scheduled into that particular workout, you know, depending on how far the session is meant to be, you could spend an extra, you know, 10 to 15 minutes on your feet, and that adds up. And then if you keep stacking that fatigue session after session, well, geez, that's probably an answer as to why you might be experiencing breakdown or injury or not being able to overcome certain niggles. So just some food for thought for those guys that perhaps don't come from a running background and fit my demographic a bit more.